It's Alabama. It's Georgia. It's Ohio State. It's whoever. Guess what's going to happen in the SEC title? We know it's going to be Alabama and it's going to be Georgia. Slow your roll there. Alabama took a loss, and there's two other teams still behind them that could ultimately win the West. In fact, those two teams are facing off this Saturday. Let's look at Ole Miss and Auburn on the Plains. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here with Ballard Sports Media coming at you live. I'm so used to saying that on StreamYard. I go live more than I do record. I guess, if you're watching this, then yeah, it's live, I guess. I don't know. But recording this for you guys. Hey, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Share this out on social media. Let's keep growing the channel. We are, well, not even 2 months away. We're still in October. Halloween this weekend. I'm excited for it. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. We got Thanksgiving around the corner. Celebrating 2 years on the channel in December. We got a lot to look forward to. I love each and every one of you. It's been 2 awesome years. You guys probably saw the video I put out earlier. Anyway, looking at this game, the whole reason we're here, 7 p.m. kickoff, Ole Miss and Auburn. The SEC West still on the line. Alabama has not yet taken it. Ole Miss hasn't taken it. And Auburn could take it. Auburn, if they lose this game, they are done. They're not going to Atlanta. They have no playoff hopes. I don't think 2 loss teams should get in the playoffs. But in this scenario, if you look at it, Auburn still only has 1 conference loss. So does Ole Miss. Ole Miss lost to Bama. Auburn lost to Georgia. And Alabama, of course, losing to A&M a few weeks ago. I just named you 3 SEC West teams, the 3 best ones there are right now. And they each have a conference loss. Auburn has not yet played Alabama. Ole Miss is going to play Auburn on Saturday. Ole Miss lost to Alabama earlier. Ole Miss is right at number 10. This is a not so much top 10, put it top 20, I guess. You have literally the number 10 team right there outside the top 10, right there at it, Ole Miss. And you got Auburn. Let's preview this here. I'll get this up for you guys. We got the background. I always like to get where the game is located as the background in these team previews, and it is on the Plains at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. Auburn, you see here, matchup predictor, 58.7% chance to win. Ole Miss with a 41.3. You guys might be thinking, what the hell is happening? I don't understand. Ole Miss is clearly better. We got full stadiums. We got crowds. This is at Jordan-Hare. And I mentioned even, and yeah, call me stupid for saying that Auburn was going to get Georgia. I didn't say Georgia couldn't win that game. I just had a feeling Auburn would do something and pull it off or keep it close, and obviously they didn't do that. Ole Miss is not Georgia. Ole Miss doesn't have the defense that Georgia has. They have the offense they don't. No disrespect to Stetson and JT or whoever. Obviously, Georgia does have great offense, but they're more on the defensive side. Ole Miss has one of the best. It's probably, if you ask me, I think it's the best offense in college football right now. I really do. I would not blame people for putting Matt Corral as the Heisman frontrunner right now. I wouldn't. And I think this is going to be an awesome showdown with quarterbacks, with offenses. Both teams have at least decent defenses. Clearly, you look at it here, points per game. Ole Miss, 41.9, count at 42. Auburn, you can round that down. They're only a touchdown underneath at 35. Points allowed. This is where the big difference is. Auburn's defense is not perfect. There's not really a perfect defense. Even Georgia's has some flaws, right? You're always going to have flaws on your team. But getting back to these two teams here, Auburn's defense, honestly, is a little bit better than I expected them to be. I think on both sides of the ball, Auburn in general is, just different. I mean, seriously. Let me just say this, right? Auburn has 2 losses. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Back to the offense and defense. Ole Miss has the edge offensively. Clearly, Auburn has the edge defensively. I can't even say that it's not even close. More yardage for Ole Miss. And both, honestly, passing and rushing. Yards allowed, Ole Miss has given up more. In both categories, Auburn has less. So clearly, in all of this right here that you see, if you guys can see the cursor, but let me highlight. In all of this, Auburn leads on the defensive side, and Ole Miss leads on the offensive side of the ball. And, of course, the line opens up here at 2.5. That's how close they expect this game. I think this might be the best SEC matchup we get all year long, honestly, at least at this point in the season, looking at where these teams are. Auburn just went last week or 2 weeks ago. They come off a bye week. Ole Miss had their bye week right before the Alabama game. Of course, they went to Tuscaloosa and lost that game 42-21. But they've looked flawless since. They had a close call against Tennessee. They pulled it out. They won by 14 against LSU last weekend. They had a really close call against Arkansas, a big shootout. I think that was really good. That might be the game of the year. These SEC matchups that we've seen this year, especially what Ole Miss has played, right, has been incredible. It's been amazing. And this will be another good one too, I think. I expect a big offensive shootout, but more on that in a minute. You got top 25 teams, top 20 really, whatever you want to call it. And I mentioned it's Alabama, it's Ole Miss, and it's Auburn for the West right now. Each team has only one conference loss, right? The winner of this game will take a huge step forward in being behind Alabama. Who needs it more? Well, they both really need it. I think it'd be a letdown if Ole Miss doesn't win the West, or at the very least, if it ends up being they lost the West because of Auburn. You got Alabama who beat Ole Miss. They're still up at the top because of the tiebreakers. Well, Ole Miss and Bama both have a conference loss, and Alabama's is worse. Well, they beat Ole Miss. They haven't played the Iron Bowl yet. You get where I'm getting at with this. I mean, you have 3 different teams for the West right now. Georgia practically locked it up against Kentucky. Florida's on downfall. Missouri was supposed to be the second best team in the East, at least what my good friend Chess Hall, go subscribe to him. He said Missouri would be the second in the East. I kind of agreed with him. It seems like it's a team like Kentucky or Florida or whoever. It doesn't matter. It's still Georgia and everybody else over there. But the SEC West is pretty intriguing. I don't know if I want to say deep, because it's really coming down to 3 teams. Even with the Bama win, A&M doesn't really have much. Like they could have lost that game. They wouldn't have anything to lose. This game right here, a little bit different, right? Again, I mentioned, you could kind of tie them for the second right now, or really, in a way, it's kind of Bama, Ole Miss, and Auburn, all 3 tied for first place in a way. I don't know. But again, both these teams, let's just get to the point, have amazing offenses, right? Of course, Auburn has 2 losses. Penn State week 3, really close in a whiteout. The other being 2 weeks ago at home to Georgia, which especially the Penn State loss, or really both kind of, I don't know. they're not bad losses, especially that Penn State wideout loss. I mean, to go in there and play as tough as they did and keep it close. I mean, very few could actually do that with Penn State in a wideout. I give I give Auburn props. You look at this series overall. Auburn is 34-11. And they beat Ole Miss last year 35-28 in Oxford. This is a different Ole Miss team. They're a little bit better. They're stronger. They're a little older in ways. Like they did have some inexperience last year, but it picked it up greatly at the end of the season. So, I mean, there's a lot I want to say on this game. I really don't even know where to go. I know I'm kind of babbling on a bit. But it's going to be an offensive game. It's going to be amazing. You look at the line, too. Look how low this is. It's 2.5. And it favors Auburn. And I think that's just to give them credit for being the home team. But this is how low – this right here, 2.5 – this is NFL line right here. This is for an NFL game and a 66 over-under. I mean, it's that close. Ole Miss has more yards total, but Auburn is allowing less yards defensively. I give the edge more so offensively to Ole Miss. I give them more so the edge on defense to the Auburn Tigers. So look, both of these teams, again, I mentioned, are still alive for the playoffs. And this is what I've been trying to get at. Auburn is still alive. If they win out and don't lose another game, especially in the SEC, and they win the West and upset Georgia, which I doubt. I doubt that's going to happen. I've been saying it all along. I do think Georgia's that kind of team. They're going to, whether it's undefeated or they do slip up with a loss somewhere, they could win the title. I'm done picking who's going to win the title until we actually have a playoff set. Then I'll do bowl game previews or whatever. I don't know. But these two teams are battling it out for the West, and ultimately Alabama, of course, looking to not lose again. They struggle at Jordan-Hare. They got the Iron Bowl there literally in a month in November. So this is going to be a great game. 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN this Saturday on the 30th. Auburn is 34-11 all time against Ole Miss. They won 35-28 last year in Oxford. We get that. I mentioned the line, 2.5 Auburn. Over-under is 66. The quarterback matchup. Let's look at Bo Nix versus Matt Corral. Bo Nix, I don't know who is more talented, but I'll tell you what. Clearly, Matt Corral is having a better year, looking like the Heisman frontrunner and the favorite. Him and Bryce Young kind of going back and forth each week. It keeps changing up, and he's doing great. But you look at Bo Nix, man. He had some time where he was benched a little bit. He had a key game a few weeks ago that really helped. First off, give him credit for a couple weeks ago with Arkansas, but that win over LSU to go in the end zone and find a way to win the game. And, of course, Auburn's defense stepping up too, I think really put Bo Nix back on track to being the guy Auburn wants him to be. And I've said this too. I do think Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I think if he's in the right – he's systematic, clearly. If he's in the right system, he'll do amazing, right? He's not a bad player. He's not a terrible quarterback. I don't even know if I want to say he's decent. I think he's really good. He's got a strong arm. He's a good leader, motivator, very mobile. But I like, at least for the season, I think Matt Corral's having the better year. But you got to be careful in this game if you're Ole Miss. First, I'll go ahead and say it. It's an offensive game, right? Matt Corral's a better quarterback than Bo Nix. But again, it's close. Bo Nix, 128 of 211, 1,400 yards plus, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks. 1 interception for Matt Corral. He's got 15 touchdowns on the season. He's 140 of 207. for over 1,000 yards as well, about 500 more. Well, not even actually. But he's got better stats and numbers that Bo Nix does. And just overall, again, better talent. Is that going to matter in this game? I think so. I mean, clearly, and win or lose, I think Ole Miss has the better offense. It's just a matter of who's going to have the better offensive game. You know, you got to think of the running backs too. Tank Bigsby for Auburn, 102 carries on the year, 526 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Ole Miss, I don't even know. I mean, the highest rusher is Matt Corral. He's carried 100 times, 9 rushing touchdowns, 474 yards. But they got like a trio. They got 3 different backs that I've seen this year that look really good. Jerrion Ely, Snoop Connor, Henry Parrish. That being said, how do these teams win the game? We talked about the quarterbacks and everything. Both are great. I like Matt Corral a little bit more in terms of leadership and just style of play. And if you want to talk about who might be better successful in the NFL somewhere, yeah, I'd take Matt Corral. But again, I'm not ripping on Bo Nix. I love Bo Nix. I think he's a good, just, you know, he's got a good attitude, a good heart, and he plays well. That being said, let's move on. I know I'm babbling a bit. Just trying to clear some things up. How do these teams win the game? I'm going to start with Auburn. The defense has to play 4 quarters. They got to stop what Coach Lane Kiffin has in store. Obviously, very fast offense, style of play, fast tempo. Watch some key guys on the defense for Auburn. Get pressure on Matt Corral. You know, I'd watch some guys. Chandler Wooten, Zakoby McClain are the 2 key outside linebackers. You have a guy like Zion Puckett in the secondary, Smoke Monday, Roger McCreary. T.D. Moultrie is a key guy too. There's quite a few. Like, Auburn is deep with talent on defense. They really are. And, you know, I don't know who they're going to play because I see these names all over the place. I see different players every week. They're always changing up personnel every now and then. But some key guys that are very fast, athletic, good on the line, can break through offensive lines. You know, this is where Ole Miss needs an offensive line, which they have one, clearly one of the better ones. That's what's helped Matt Corral be so successful. Is their offensive line. This is going to be a big environment and a crowd at Jordan-Hare. Wouldn't be surprised if this is a packed house. I mean, I'm surprised with this being a ranked matchup and everything. Look, tickets are as low as $55 on Vivid Seats. That's crazy. I'm not here to advertise. Getting back to it, you know, defensively, Auburn has to have their A game. You got Tony Fair. You got Derek Hall, T.D. Moultrie. You got, I mean, there's quite a few guys depth-wise. Owen Papo, Zakoby McClain, Chandler Wooten, Jordan Davis is a key corner. Roger McCreary, Nehemiah Prickett. And, I mean, there's a lot. Smoke Monday, I mentioned. Zion Puckett. They have a lot of depth, Auburn does. Now, what's crazy about their defense is it's not a lack of talent. Look, they're only allowing 19 points a game on average. Again, this is all average. And I think it's just a little bit better than it looks on paper. I think they got some key guys. They do have a hard time getting off the field on 3rd down, which they have to figure out against Ole Miss. Because if you get them in a 3rd and 1 situation, Matt Corral is just going to want to rush the ball there or sneak it or hand it to a running back. I mean, they're very fast too. The thing about Auburn's defense is they haven't faced the highly paced offense yet. They haven't had to face the kind of tempo that I'm sure they'll face this Saturday. And Ole Miss, well, I can't say anything because they did play like Alabama's defense. So, and they played LSU's defense a little bit. LSU gave them some trouble at times, but they put 31 up. Played Arkansas. Well, I mean, that was a shootout, but I mean, Ole Miss has faced a defense or two. But the thing is that Auburn hasn't faced an offense like Ole Miss. They just haven't. The thing about the Georgia game, I think, was just that Auburn sucks because they only gave up 10 to Georgia. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing, but, Georgia's got that kind of defense. Arkansas, right? What happened? They were able to put 38 points up. Arkansas got exposed. They lost the game. Again, this is how close they think it is at 2.5. I would not blame them for putting that line out. And I'll say this. I'm getting sidetracked. I don't know where to start with this game, honestly. I mean, there's a lot. I'm going to be honest. I expect a shootout. I do. I don't see defenses on this field. I see more so on the side of Auburn, right? They have more defense than Ole Miss does. But Ole Miss is high-paced and can read defenses with Matt Corral. He can recognize some coverages and manipulate the defenses in a way that he wants to so his receivers can get the ball. How does Auburn win this game? Let's get into that. If the defense can play four-quarter football, stop the plan that Lane Kiffin has, they'll win the game. Watch a key guy. I mentioned a few, Owen Papo or whoever. Zacoby McClain is a key tackler on the line. Really, really talented, I think. He's a linebacker. He hasn't gotten a sack all year, right? But he's knocked down a couple passes. He's got 53 tackles. He's very good. 28 tackles by himself. Colby Wooden and Derek Hall are the key edge rushers that are going to be put out there. They both each have 4 sacks, 4 apiece. So 8 sacks total there between those two guys. Colby Wooden has sacked 4 times for a loss of 22 yards in total. Derek Hall the same, but for a loss of 24. Those are going to be key guys that are going to get pressure. Can Ole Miss handle those guys? They are fast. They're electric. They can get to the quarterback, take him down, and just get him to the point of attack. I think they could handle it. Right. I'm not going to go on too long with this. But Auburn can win this game if the defense that we saw against teams like LSU or whoever show up. Right. Stop what Lane Kiffin and Matt Corral have in store. Recognize it. Get on to a good start because I feel like once Ole Miss gets started on offense, they're not going to slow down. They'll just keep throwing at you. So you want to stop them ASAP and make sure Bo Nix is on the field, killing clock for you, putting points up for yourselves, and keep Matt Corral on the sideline. Speaking of Bo Nix, I mentioned, you want to keep him on the field. He needs an LSU type of game. He needs to just be fast, aware, reading the defense, manipulating it. Ole Miss was supposed to have a better defense this year, which I do see some improvement, but it's not exactly what I expected at least. And I don't want to sit here and rip on them or anything, say that they won't give Bo Nix trouble at all. I think they will. They have a few key guys. And I mentioned that Auburn has to play defense to win the game. Ole Miss has to play fast to catch the defense by surprise. And when Ole Miss has the defense out there, Bo Nix has to be pressured. You have to get through the offensive line, put them on the ground, and stop them right there. The O-line has got to block, right? You have to block. I mentioned the Ole Miss defense, overhyped, whatever. But watch a key guy like Chance Campbell. And watch a matchup. He'll probably be matched up with a guy like Brendan Coffey or Nick Brams on the offensive line for Auburn. That's going to be a good matchup. Chance Campbell is the key guy for Ole Miss this season on defense. He has 56 tackles, 4 sacks for a loss of 23 yards in total. He has forced 2 fumbles and recovered both of them. You got Mark Robinson on there too. AJ Finley, Keydron Smith. There's a few key guys in there. And the reason I think the Ole Miss defense, I ain't never heard of those players. Well, we're so caught up with their offense. And I don't blame them. I mean, that's just how it is. But there's some key guys there, right? And you just have to watch and see what they do. I think there's a few guys that could give Bo Nix some trouble. Is it going to be enough, though? I don't think it will. And quite honestly, I'm just going to stop talking about the defenses because I do see a shootout, right? But Ole Miss, if they want to win, the defense has to catch up with what Auburn's doing, right? Feed the run game. Give Jerrion Ely, Snoop Connor, Henry Parrish. They use 3 different backs, but they normally go, if you look at it, on paper, the guy getting the most carries this season so far is Henry Parrish. He's got 74 carries. I think the better of the backs is Jerrion Ely. He was a key guy that gave Alabama some trouble a couple weeks ago. I know Alabama kind of shut him down, blew him out, but the run game did get off to a good start with a guy like him. Snoop Connor is a key back. Look, this is going to be a great game. Game of the week in the SEC, first off. I'll say that. Probably game of the week, period. But is it what we expect? I don't know about you, but I expect a shootout, right? I think Ole Miss is going to be very fast on offense. I think Auburn will too. I think for the defenses, you're dealing with, on both sides, a very high-tempo offense that's hard to keep up with, hard to slow down. The spread, again, 2.5. This is going to be a great close game. And I feel like they expect 2 points, 2.5 points. They're probably thinking like a 48-46 or something or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and give my score prediction and end it on this note. I do have Auburn winning this one. It wouldn't surprise me either way, but I think with the home crowd and everything and with how Auburn loves to play at home, how fast they are, I think Auburn does have a little bit better defense than Ole Miss. Yes, Ole Miss has the better offense, but we've seen quite a bit of the defense getting back into the game this season in college football in general, and I think Auburn has a better defense, period. I'm going to give Auburn the win 45-34 in a shootout, and I say Auburn wins by 11. And I think, how do they do that? I think maybe they're up and they just get an extra score in there, and Ole Miss doesn't have enough to come back and get the win. And like I mentioned before, Auburn, still alive for the West. They take a step further. They still got to go deal with Alabama, which is very, very pissed off right now. Still mad about the A&M loss, I'm sure. But anyways, so you guys let me know in the comments. I think I'm going to try to premiere this for you guys as you're watching it. What are your score predictions? What's the key matchup you want to watch in this game? Defense versus offense or just offenses in general? I see a shootout. Again, nothing like that Rose Bowl or the 7 overtime LSU game or whatever with A&M. I don't see it like that, but I think Auburn pulls away a little bit, and they win by 11 points, 45-34 over Ole Miss. I love you guys. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Really appreciate it. Got a lot of great things coming in 2022. Just keep building the channel, man. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. Been on here almost 2 years. I'm surprised I made it to 400, let alone I didn't even expect to hit 100 in my first year. I hit almost 200. Really, I think past that. So this channel is growing faster than I expected it to when I started. And again, I mentioned in about 2 months, or not really 2 months, but in 1 month, in like a week or so, celebrate 2 years on here. So I love and appreciate all you guys and the love and the support that I get, and everyone that's been here along the way. I love you guys. Comment your score predictions. Let me know who you want to win this game and who you think will win this game. I'm going 45-34 Auburn over the Ole Miss Rebels with an upset on the Plains. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up. God bless. And as always, folks, roll tide, roll. Love y'all. Peace out.
Wait for it. Good boy, son.
Okay.
Roll down tide.